Welcome to a new episode of More Than Dice. I'm John.
I'm Shirley.
Good night, Gracie.
Welcome to episode 126. Are we at? Uh-oh.
25? At 126? Oh, damn.
I don't know what we are. You can turn up
There's
Kathy.
125.
Are we on 125? Hold on, John. Someone figured out Kathy's painting, so that's up to you, John.
It's always up to me.
He's
always
better at that anyways.
videos. We are on episode 125. Kathy is right.
125, yep.
Thank you.
Woo, woo.
Technically, correct.
That was fully correct. There's no
Technicality on that.
100% correct.
Yeah, you're right.
We are fully on 125. Today, Kathy's going to be painting on stream with Switch or the Paint Cam. You will see her wonderful, beautiful painting going on while I work on some Marvel Crisis Protocol models. John will be making sure that we stay on time and on target. And then that's going to be about it. I'm going to go switch to the paint cam and get everything going on that end. That way I don't have to switch and do that later. So let me switch over to paint cam real quick. Let's see. There we go. That way you can watch Kathy's awesome hand.
I'm going to try and make these glowy. Using
Make them
fresh
glowy.
paints
Party
on
time, excellent.
Party time. Excellent. Oh, I got a bunch of crap under my desk. Gotta move out of the way.
You should probably get on that then.
All right. So let's go and give out a good word to our sponsors. We want to thank Metalhead Minis for sponsoring the things we got going on and selling our product. Lynn will be having some stuff ready for us a little bit. She's been working on a few things. We also want to thank Creature Caster for being super, super awesome with all their stuff. Pretty soon I will be working on a project with their stuff. I just got to get off my butt and do it.
What project? Is it a surprise?
No, it's not a surprise. I'm going to be painting up some Judgment models. There's one in particular that I want to do called Piper. And he's a rogue that makes... I don't know if anybody's seen it. It is a model that has a rogue on one side of the wall and on the other side. And like one of them is painted black and white and the other one's painted normal. Because in the game he makes a duplicate of himself. So I was gonna paint that up because I really like that model. That model's like one of my favorite that they do. But I'm gonna be using some stuff with their paints I want to test out. Because I got a bunch of their stuff. And then also, excuse me, I'm about to burp. We want to thank Muson Minis for hosting our stuff and putting it out to the masses. We really appreciate it. Also, if you're going to be buying things from them, make sure you use our discount code, More Than Dice, all one word, and you can get a good discount on everything that you purchase. Who did I miss out? Tectonic Craft Studios, Dan. Dan is doing some really good MDF stuff. He is working his butt off to try to help and make things happen. Go out and check him out. We really appreciate it. We all love Dan.
Lots of fun terrain there.
Tons and tons of terrain.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Did I get everybody? I think
Creature Caster.
I got Creature Caster, didn't I?
You started with Metalhead Minis. I don't think you got Creature Caster.
Yeah, that's right. Because I'm going to be using their paints because I want to test out their transparent stuff. That he's got. That's where that model came in on that project.
I'm with you now.
Yeah, so.
Creature Caster, good stuff. You should check it out, honestly.
Yeah, especially the models. Holy fuck.
Yeah, and if you just want a model just to paint because it's a beautiful model and you want to put paint on a beautiful model, they have something for you. I'm certain of it.
Oh, they're amazing. Yeah.
And a good group of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
John, what are you drinking tonight?
Luckily, Banyan last night was nice enough to stop and get me some alcohol, so I'm drinking Dr. Pepper and Kraken.
Nice.
Banyan, you're such a sweet guy.
I mean, otherwise I would have had to go out today, which would have meant putting on pants, and that's such work.
Such work.
The fate worse than death.
Yeah, pants.
Saying Banyan is your savior.
Yeah, I mean, He's almost as cool as our Lord and Savior Daka.
Okay. Kathy, what are you going to be drinking tonight?
I have some hot tea, Earl Grey, alt, and I have a gin and tonic.
All is right in the world. All we need now is for Gonzo to have some new beer.
Not a shitty beer.
Some shitty new beer.
I am going to be drinking a vanilla porter from Breckenridge Brewery. It's not bad. I've had it before, so it's not like it's anything there.
Not bad also means not good.
It's okay.
I would rather drink something that's not just okay.
Yeah. But
If
fair,
I'm gonna
if you like
spend
it.
my if I'm gonna spend my calories and alcohol consumption on something, I want it to taste good.
Though, on the beer note, we were talking a little about it at work, and one of my people mentioned that he loves MGD. Shake my head. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, that's almost as bad as Natty Bo. He's like, I never had Natty Bo. I'm like, oh, God, are you in for a treat? So I sent that to Rich Broutman, who is my consigliere of beer, and he's never had Natty Bo either. So next time we meet in person, I'm bringing some Natty Bo for Rich Broutman. He's going to enjoy the hell out of that.
But I mean, it's okay. I mean, I've had worse. Definitely much worse.
I mean, yes.
So,
There was a tamarind and turmeric, I think, drink that we had at Johnny Con. It was just fuck awful. Like we split
Tamarind is
ways and no
that
one
this
enjoyed any of it.
like I like tamarind. I like the flavor of it, but in a beer? Was it a
But it wasn't
beer?
a beer. It was fuck awful. That's what it was. It was fuck awful. I drank some. Cosmic Scotty Potty drank some, and then we foisted the rest off on Rich Brown. Apparently, that's what friends do. And no one should ever buy that ever again. And ugh,
Never speak of it again.
I'm not gonna drink it again. I think it was actually worse than Budweiser. I don't like Budweiser at all.
trying to find a really good picture of Rocket that they have.
There should be good.
Just Google search Trash Panda.
Yeah, that's. Well, I'm talking at the the model that they have.
Oh, I never look at the model when I'm painting. I always go look at an actual costume.
I love looking at like the comic books or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when you get the alternate paint schemes. Actually, me and one of the guys, War Machine guys, were talking about War Machine guys were talking about it. How he likes to paint them off the reference on the box. I'm like,
Speaking
I like
of,
to look out some of their paint schemes in the comics and maybe something alternate.
look at this. Look at this alternate Venom. I don't know if you can see that on the.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
It's like this. It's basically like this color that I'm.
Yeah.
Oh, that really burns it out. It's really this fluorescent sort of greenish yellow color.
Oh.
And I'm gonna use that. He's got these glowy eyes on my Venom because
No, that's awesome.
Because why not? I haven't painted him, so he's just waiting for the right moment. I'm actually glad that I haven't got around to painting him so that I can do that color scheme that nobody else has done yet.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, like my Modoc's a different scheme. My Iron Man's a different scheme. I've just changed stuff up when I can. I mean, I painted Vision a little brighter than they did the parts because this one's a little brighter here. So, but back to the topic of drinks.
Yeah, let's go back to our drinks. Guys, we appreciate you being here. Really, it means a lot to us. If you're not here, but you're listening on some other device, even better. We appreciate y'all coming in, supporting us with any way that you can. If there's something you want to see or have us do, let us know. We're more than welcome to ideas of doing things. So that's pretty much about it. To everybody out there, please be safe. Take care of each other. Look after each other. Cheers.
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 I'm going to put this over here.
Slightly aggressive.
Okay. My Groot is pretty
Oh,
much done.
that does look good, Busy. That does look good.
Just got to do the base on him. So let me get
I
that.
haven't gotten Gordon Rocket yet. Actually, honestly, with
Oh
Vision just
no.
about done and the Hulk right about done, I set up Star Lord, and then I own no other actual models from Marvel Crisis Protocols who are not painted. Just terrain.
I need to get started on my terrain too, but oh god, I'm not looking forward to that. That's a lot of terrain.
I've painted a car and some other stuff, so I mean, I've got a little start on it. Actually, I am kind of looking forward to it. It'll be a good change of pace. But I think when I'm done these guys, I'm going to clean this area completely, put some stuff away, and then break them. I break out the terrain and whatever else I'm painting and go.
Where's my Agrath Earthshade?
Only you can answer that question.
I mean, it's where you last put it.
Up on the shelf where it belonged.
Well, that's a good place to put it. I imagine you would have found it quicker.
All right, I'm going to test out something on this real quick.
Uh-oh. He's testing.
That's two.
So, where do we want to start talking about Games Workshop stuff? Do we want to talk about the 40K stuff, or do we want to talk about other stuff?
Let's get the letter they sent out recently because it actually did ruffle some feathers.
Yep, surprisingly. So, I'm actually gonna I brought it up here, and I'm gonna read the whole thing for everyone who's not plugged in social media or is boycotting social media, which I do not blame you at all. I'm not on as much as I have been in the past just because I can't constantly take it all. But
Yeah.
so letter is Warhammer is for everyone. One of the great powers of our hobby is its ability to bring people together in common cause, to build bonds that friendships that cross divides. We believe in and support a community united by shared values of mutual kindness and respect. Our fantasy settings are grim and dark, but that is not a reflection of who we are or how we feel the real world should be. We will never accept nor condone any form of prejudice, hatred, or abuse in our company or in the Warhammer hobby. We will continue to diversify the cast of characters we portray through miniatures, art, and storytelling so everyone can find representation and heroes they can relate to. And if you feel the same way, wherever and whoever you are, we're glad you're part of the Warhammer community. If not, you will not be missed.
Now, I thought it was interesting because I mean, most companies don't have to put out something. Most companies are just to get some stuff going. But the bottom part of that sentence, the last part of it,
You'll not be missed.
That's as I just posted to in the chat room. That's baller. That is pure baller, and I fucking love it
yeah.
because there are people out there who have their feathers ruffled by this, who are like, "Oh no, it's I don't know the name. I'm not going to say the name of anyone who maybe I might remember who's like this."
Suggesting that they were somehow pandering to people.
Yeah, pandering people like, oh, now you're just doing this because of the current social climate, or it's not. I mean, there are people who are like, we shouldn't have girls playing 40K. They're just not up for it. I've heard all of this shit.
Yeah.
I've heard it all.
Oh,
Fuck
I've heard
those
that.
people. Fuck
Yeah,
them.
they can leave and never come back. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, you will not be missed, and we will not put up with your shit. And people will be saying, because we've had this at my work and you guys know I do customer service and all, and some of the companies we work with have put out very strongly worded messages of varying from, nicely worded to just downright as blunt as that. And honestly, there are people who have, some of them have had overall good responses, and some have had responses like, oh, now you're going to take up the torch, and now you're going to say something political. Well, you know what? It doesn't matter when you get on the train. You got on the train. It's time to fucking stand up for this shit. It's never too late to stand up and decide, enough's enough. We have to fucking start changing shit.
Well, you know what? One of the things you said kind of struck a chord because one of my locals is like, oh, I don't like girls in the game store because they cause problems in the game store. And I'm like, then don't come to the game store.
Yeah, they have every bit as much of a right to be there as you.
Yeah.
And in fact, given that attitude, they have more right to be there because they are obviously accepting of your meathead ass.
Meathead ass.
I mean, shit. I am so done with that stuff. I mean, everywhere. I mean, it really gets my goat. Let's say.
Yeah.
I mean, I did not have a good early week. It was very heavy shit, and
Well, I
it
mean, here's the
continues to be heavy
thing.
shit.
The worst part is we get picked on gamers, miniature gamers, and shit on by a lot of people just because of what we do. We don't need to be shitting on our own people, that's for
I
sure.
can't even say how many times I've heard people say to, me or somebody I know, that it's not a serious thing. It's not a serious job. It's not a serious hobby. You should grow up. It's a kid's thing. It's time for you to get rid of these toys and grow up. And my answer to that.
My answer to that is look at all the grown-ups out there, huh? The
Well,
world's going great. You don't hear us doing, for the most part, doing stupid shit like that. I mean, come on.
and what's interesting is that I was talking to somebody on ESO, and it was a younger person, and she's playing a video game and stuff, and she was like, "Well, what do you do for fun?" And I was like, I run a podcast, blah blah blah, do all this other stuff, and she was like, and we had grouped up with some random people to run this dungeon, and they were talking about stuff, and I was like, "Yeah," and you're playing a video game, and it was like, "Yeah, because video games are cool," and I go, "I remember a time when Dungeons and Dragons and all that stuff wasn't cool, and I got
Yep.
picked on, and people used to bully me all the time in school because I was playing Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, this is gotta stop.
Yeah, just stop looking at what other people do and think that you're better than them because of it. Who fucking cares? They're living their life. You're living your life. It doesn't matter.
I
Not any of
remember
it
my
matters.
my dad was visiting. My parents were visiting, and I was playing Diablo, and he's like, "Man, I just don't understand how you can do that." And I'm like, "Well, Dad, it's kind of like how you just sit on your computer and play Hearts or Gin or whatever card game on the computer with your fake opponents. It's pretty much the same thing."
Yeah, it's the right combination of mental stimulus to keep us all sane in this
Yeah.
world that's going
So
crazy.
when I told it to him like that, he was like, "Oh, okay." Like he didn't get that it was basically the same thing.
Yeah, it seems so different, but I will say honestly, the best thing about my mom and my family has been how accepting they've been of all just the weird shit I do.
Oh God, yes.
They don't ever make fun of me for it. Never did. Not one of them. They're all very accepting. A lot of them even, like to hear about it and all. Will occasionally, see what I'm doing. It's wonderfully comforting to know that everyone's accepting of what you're doing. She's moved heaven and earth early on to make sure I had all these hobby stuff and all. So, but yeah, so it's good that the companies are making their statements. I did hear some pushback on the Atomic Mass Games one, and it's funny to hear why. Someone basically just got upset, like, well, they just copied the one from Fantasy Flight Games and posted that. To which I had to respond, you realize they're owned by the same fucking company. It's a company statement.
Yeah.
Like, yes, if you asked, the guys in charge to put someone on there, it would have been worded differently, but they want to project a unified company front. This is what we're doing, and that's common. Don't be upset. Be happy that so many companies are coming out and saying this. There was a time they wouldn't risk sales for it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And in COVID time, when everyone's sales are pretty much down, unless you're making masks or hand sanitizer or toilet paper, it is a hell of a thing to basically say, "Oh, hey, you're an asshole. Go fuck off and take your money with you."
So I haven't
love
used my contrast yellow in a while, and look how it's separated.
I mean, it does that.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's like a very very big.
Do you have stainless steel ball bearings? I put one in.
Yeah, there is.
I love those things. Just putting them in paints to make it all shake up properly, especially with the contrast paint. You let them sit for a while.
Oh
You
yeah.
might be able to get it otherwise, but excuse me, the ball bearing helps a ton.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so GW made a hell of a stand, and I love that they did, because that is a very powerful statement, and it's from the biggest dog in the miniature gaming world.
Oh yeah.
I mean, FFG's is well worded and fine, but they did not nearly slap those fuckers across the face like UW did. And hopefully, I mean, there's a lot of people who maybe just don't realize it, you know? Maybe they didn't realize they were being asshats. It's easy. You and your buddies are having fun and laughing at the expense of other people. You don't think about that. Maybe this is what makes them think about it, makes them better people.
Well,
Like, I always think there's a chance that someone can have that realization moment and be like, oh shit, let me try and make positive change.
well, it always cracks me up because we, when you and your buddies are at the game store and you're giving each other crap, and you're like, oh, you fucking suck, or whatever. You're just razzing each other because you're good friends. You can do that, and then someone else comes in and they see that, they're like, ooh, wait a minute. Not that we can't. It's just there's a perceived notion. I was like, I don't want to play that game. Those guys give each other a lot of shit.
Well, what you should do in that case, if you see someone doing that, you should be like, oh, we play together all the time. This is standard for us.
Yeah, but some people, like I said, some people don't understand that.
Or send the guy in your group who's, the most level headed and to over and like, oh, hey, you want to play a game? And then you play the most, the best game, you be totally, good opponent and everything. It shows them it's not all the same. It's, we fuck with each other because we can.
So, but I thought that was interesting. I mean, the ending statement is the best part of it. If you don't like it, get the fuck out.
Yep. Literally. If you're not going to be, tolerant of other people and everything, bye. I need more of that. That's where we're going. This might be where we finally start getting social change. And I hate ostracizing anyone. I'm a big inclusion person, but if you're a piece of shit, I'm sorry, you're going to have to go. Because, you've already proven you don't want to change at that point, and we don't want you here. It is what it is. So aside from all that, they also have thrown some spoiler type things for the new edition of 40K.
And before we get talking about that, I want to break this down.
More controversial than that.
I want to break this down. I want to break this down into the concept of it's from gaming play point, gaming rules, and how it affects the game, to also how it affects conventions. Because we kind of hit on that a little bit on our own, us type thing in our chat.
This is easy stuff.
But I want to break it down like that. So, John, what did they change, and how did they change it compared to what's the old stuff?
Well, we'll go with the big one, the controversial one, let's say, which is the change of the minimum play size area. I would like to reaffirm the minimum size of board to play on. So all of the boards are they're now 44 inches by 30, 60, or 90 inches, depending on what size game you're playing. So for those of you keeping track and doing the math, that means the middle port would be 44 by 60, which is not quite 4 foot by 5 foot. So it's just under, it's 3 foot 8 by 5 foot. And someone noted when they looked at all these that they are literally the size of multiple kill team boards put together. So if each kill team board is 22 by 30, you can take those and make 44 by 30 pretty easy. You can make 44 by 60 pretty easy. You can make 44 by 90 pretty easy. So everyone's up in arms because, oh my god, they're changing the size. I'm not going to cut my mats. Good lord, I've got tables already built to the proper size. They can't do this to me. What this means for tournaments? Fucking nothing. It means nothing.
Well, because
A, it's taken out of context because we don't know what else it says in there. B, it's a minimum size.
Correct.
A minimum size.
So if we were to say that the minimum size is the new standard, that they want people to play at. Let's go from there, because if they say that they want all games to be played on a, the 44 by 60, because that seems about roughly, that means your table edges are each side. You also deploy 2 inches further in, correct? And play a foot less. Am I thinking that right?
For 4x6, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
because that's what
like,
most array plays on a 4x6.
like Lizaire says,
standard.
extra edge on the side for drinks.
Yeah.
Let's be
Right.
honest.
That's what I was thinking too.
Like,
Or a place to roll dice.
For
Right.
dead models, because if it's anything like us, when down by where you guys play, they spread to all available surface area. There'll be 40k guys with models on the table behind them. We're like, guys, you need to move these if you want to play a game. So having some space on the edge, like when War Machine players are forced to play on a 4x6, and they throw out their 4x4, and they got 2 foot for extra shit.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it'll make the games. I mean, everything's going to escalate a lot quicker.
Yeah, because one of the things that we were talking about that I mentioned with a friend of mine is if you're playing on a less than 4 foot by 6 foot thing, you're playing on the 44 by 60 inch. You're kind of playing that anyway, because there's also not much. Not everybody uses it all at the same time.
Few people use the last 6 inches of the table edge on either side, and at a certain point, no one's in the rear with the gear in their deployment zone.
Yeah. Now, what does this mean for people that have all their mats and tables built for 4x6s? Just
nothing.
Nothing really.
Nothing.
I'll tell you, as someone that runs a convention, if I had bought all these mats or 4x6 or whatever for a convention, I would all right, here's a piece of tape if you need it, and block off the extra inch you need, extra 12 inches on the side to say, don't play on this area. This is where you store your dice, your models, and whatever you want.
So let's answer some chat room. Crimson said 22 inches is a weird number. Why did they go with that? Because kitchen tables. 22 by 30 for Kill Team goes on a kitchen table, and most tables, folding tables, very nicely. So that's why they chose that. It fits on a lot of spaces you don't normally get. And then they just went with a multiple of that for 40k, which is a good idea. For multiple levels, again, it's a minimum. You can play what you want. If it's on more tables when it's shorter, it is actually amazingly hard to find a 4 foot table. And it's 4 foot across. It's actually quite difficult. So that's all good ideas there. And plus, they're going to sell them the game boards because they're selling for Kill Team. So that's going to help everyone. You're going to have more game boards available. So that's all good there. And then, of course, Legionnaire says, scissors, scissors, scissors. Yeah, you can scissor the outside of that if you want. If you've got that mat and you don't need it for anything else, do what you want. There's no harm in leaving it there, though, unless, of course, your table is less than, 4x5 or 4x6. Overall, I'm very pleased they did that. As I mentioned when we were talking about ourselves, I am all for the killing and slaughter of any sacred cow, because it's only sacred cow if you realize there's a better way.
Now, as a convention and stuff, they can work around that. Mm-hmm. And actually, it means less terrain, if you think about it. A
little less terrain, yeah.
A little less terrain.
It means the same terrain. It just means it'll be more impactful because it's spread over a smaller area.
Yeah.
Yeah. But one of the things that someone brought up is they're forcing people to play a lot closer and get things done a lot quicker. And I was like, okay, so of course, I play Tau, and that's a huge, all right, you're in range already type thing. And so
also means it's closer to them murdering you in close combat.
Correct, because there is a change coming, I'm sure, about close combat, because they've got all these new close combat units and things coming up on that we're seeing on different models right now.
Well, every edition, it ebbs and flows. One edition will be gun lines or fun lines. The next edition will either be a little more balanced, or it'll be skulls for the Skull Throne, Blood God. That's sort of the levels they tend to go in. Very rarely, very few points do they hit the nice middle ground between the two. Um, Legionnaire says he's likes to heard about the new train rules. I haven't heard anything about the new train rules, but again, most of this dropped off before I decided to take a little, not a full hiatus, but a little scaling back of the social media for my sanity. But I did hear they are changing command points. It's going to be a lot more like the current edition of Age of Sigmar, where you don't get as many. It's all based on how big of a game you're playing. So you're no longer building efficient groups of teaming up just to get more command points. Now, you're not doing like the Rusty 13, I think it was called, or something, which was basically a minimum detachment of AdMech to get more command points. And then you just go and spend them all on your Space Marines anyways. Oh, Leisure says no true line of sight. That's good, because true line of sight is not the way for a game to play.
Okay, now I want you to describe what true line of sight is, because some people don't understand that. Compared to line of sight and true line of sight.
If you can see it, you can see it. If from a model's eye view you can see it, you can see it. If, Gaz Gulthraka has the biggest banner pole that ever did banner pole, you can shoot him from across the universe, because that banner pole is part of the model, and it's time to get shot.
So, does that mean now you have to see the base?
Don't know.
What do you think?
I'm not going to guess it's GW. They tend to be the big innovators in a lot of stuff. I mean, there was a little time where they weren't, but they're back to innovating. So I don't want to say. I'm hoping it's, standard sizes. There's always been a lot of rules, like you have to see X amount of the model, which gets a little weird, but that's a little more favorable to hidden models. True Line of Sight brought us the edition where someone actually paid me more money than the current Striking Scorpions are worth to get the old ones from me, because they were all crouching down and low so they could use cover more effectively.
Yep.
Which is the epitome of bullshit.
Yeah,
their train rules were an afterthought to the last set of 40k. It is probably the second biggest problem with the 40k as it exists right this second with 8th edition is the train rules. They're poop. As we were talking about, the command points were the other big problem, and now they're going to fix that. It sounds like it's going to be a lot more. If you want to take a second attachment, you're going to spend command points on that second attachment rather than getting them. Well, for each detachment, apparently, though, you get it back for your first one. If it's your Warlords in it, you get that point back, which is interesting. And then it sounds like it's going to be a lot less abilities to go on eventually. They're not just going to remake all the codexes or anything right away. They're going to do a slow unveil. I'm sure there'll be ways of getting them, but it's going to be less. I think it's going to be less command point things to spend on. So it'll be a little more impactful, a little more even. You won't get out command pointed. No more Space Marine Captain attachments. Yeah, those things are crazy. It should be interesting there. And also, apparently, they're changing the whole sort of objective system, where in order to score the objective, you have to hold it during your command phase. So you have to hold it at the beginning of your turn. Not the end of your turn, score a bunch of points, and then, you throw your guard squads in, you score your points, they get murdered, you go, let's do it again. Because I can do this all day. Now you actually have to put a giant blob of guard in and hope they hold their ground long enough for you to score that shit. And then, so that's a really good thing. And apparently there's going to be secondary objectives that you choose throughout the game. I haven't heard a lot about that. I'm waiting for some concrete details. But it's all very interesting stuff. Because their scenario play for 40k was solid, but not amazing. And any increase to that, like the random card ones, when you had those, those were a pain in the ass. I don't know if you played with those at all, Gonzo.
I didn't play with the random ones.
Yeah, that's the random ones were crazy, because you start getting like, I got to kill all the Psychers. He's in there with the gear. We'll not be scoring that this turn. I kind of liked the idea of it, but it wasn't fair. They should have all had an out,
Yeah, well, what if someone doesn't have a Psyker?
I mean, I need to kill all the psychers. Well, my AdMech looks at you confusedly and continues to shoot because we don't have that shit.
Yeah.
You might say, homie, don't play that.
AKA Tau.
Tau, AdMech, my knights. I mean, I have to go all the way into my Deathwatch Marines to actually get a psyker. Should I take one? And I don't always. So, having more chosen ones that you can do, and if you have to hold them to the beginning of your next turn, making you choose them mean they might actually be doable. No more, this whole, you need to kill a unit. Well, that's going to be pretty easy. Or defend objective 5. Oh, well, that's on the other side of the board. Another wasted one. They were good ideas, but they weren't all great. I could see a lot of room for improvement, and I'm interested to see what they actually end up being. Even though every time a new edition comes out, it costs any of us who wish to play the game a fair chunk of money, I am all for it because their last edition was a good improvement over 7th. And what I hear so far is good improvements over 8th. Now we're still in the early stages. We haven't heard any other actual gameplay rules changes. So
No, we've only heard just the basic stuff. That it's just, and the thing is it's being released a little bit at a time.
Well, yeah, they want to keep the interest high, especially right now in COVID time. So let's say, for example, Gonzo, you may not know, the newest set of Transformers TCG came out.
And?
I have no excitement for it. I mean, I don't play it much right now because if we do, it's just me and Banyan. He did buy some packs. He did a little sealed with it, and it was not a good sealed pack. I mean, somehow I won both games, but I don't know. But this whole global pandemic is sapping a lot of excitement from hobby stuff. Unless you're really interested in what's coming out, it's hard to stay hyped. Banyan's hyped for the whole Thanos' little punks. What the fuck's their name? He's hyped for them because he likes those guys. So that's cool. But, I'm not hyped for anything that's coming out for that. I'm not hyped for any releases for any of the games.
Well, because you can't really, you can't go out and do anything.
Yeah,
It'd be different if you're like, oh yeah, I've got these new models. Okay, I can go out and play them.
Thank you,
right now you
can't.
can't.
They're called the Black Order. And Legion says it's sapping physical energy too. Yeah, it's hard to stay physically and emotionally and mentally good in this time because everything changed suddenly. You go one day you're walking around normally, next thing you know, everything's fucking closed. So, it is what it is, and it's for safety, and it's good, but it was definitely a big shock to us, and even some of the introverts are realizing, hey, I'm not so introverted as I thought, because I kind of like some human interaction once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's... We talked about motivation a couple episodes ago, and I find my motivation slipping. Luckily, like I said, I have models for days. I can paint models till the cows come home. I just got to worry about getting paints, and since we seem to be on the slightly reopening path, that'll be better, but it's hard to put out a new game and new anything. Black Widow should have been out.
Oh, yeah.
No one noticed. Theaters are, they might die.
On that note, AMC just said something about that they don't think that they'll be able to survive after this.
Well, that's because... So, human nature is a fuck of a thing. We don't like change. And theaters have been sort of chasing profits rather than innovating for a while. The theater experience isn't really getting better. In fact, with the expense of everything there, it's technically, in a lot of cases, worse than going home and just watching it on your giant TV yourself. Or, I can watch a movie on this monitor right here, and it is huge. And there are certain things you're always going to see in the theater. Or want to see, James Cameron puts out the next Avatar movie. Yeah, you want to see that shit in the theater. It's going to have amazing graphics. But, something like a No Country for Old Men or a Gran Torino or one of those, you don't necessarily need to see that in the big theater. You're like, it's so they need to start innovating rather than just doing same old, same old. And if they go away, hey, it's tragic, but sometimes things go away.
I have always said that since streaming has become the way of everything, that eventually movie theaters are going to have to compete with streaming of straight to video type thing, like what
Hmm.
has happened. And I'm
Yep.
like,
And I know the movie companies are trying not to do that because they they want the theaters to stay because that's if theaters go down, they have to change their entire paradigm.
yeah. Well, I mean,
And I
because
think people want theaters to stay. Like if you ask me, yes, I want theaters to stay. I would love that. I don't want it to change, but it might. You have to prepare for that eventuality. And maybe some of the companies go under, some of them don't. We'll see. A lot of things are going to change. A lot of places are going to close. Some places, new places are going to open up. It's going to be a while before things are really normal. I think more companies missed the chance to release their movies for a premium price streaming um, because I think people would have bought it. I totally would have watched Black Widow on my TV for, you know, 15, $20. I just spent that at the theater anyways.
yeah, I
You
think
know?
also some of them are still worried that even though you would have paid 15 to $20, that's $15 or $20, and it would have been four people. Not truly, but that's
Well,
what some people
right
are
now, that's
thinking.
not really true. I mean,
Yeah,
only now are we getting to the point where we can congregate again in most states. If they had done it during the peak of pandemic, it would have been one or two people for $20,
yeah.
and they have to decide if that's worth it. And I know some of the movies they're already produced, so it's not worth it. But we'll have to see what it comes afterwards. I mean, everything's going to be weird for a bit. You're not going to see game stores with actual game rooms open for a while because as soon as they do, everyone's going to be back in there, and that's dangerous. So we need to be careful with it.
Well, I know a few game stores have started allowing people, but only a certain amount of people
Yeah, like our game
per the
store
thing.
allows 10 people in. Actually, the one game store in Annapolis, they actually gave up their space, their gaming space for a while. Like it's gonna be at least a year before they can get it back potentially. So that's what I heard. I don't know. Banian's actually been down there. He could tell me for sure. I forgot to ask him, but it'll all be weird. It'll all be crazy. We'll have to see how it goes. I don't think the theater experience is dead. I think it might. It's already been. They've already been ramping it back because you're not filling theaters anymore because they make the seats bigger. They've all gone for less capacity and ostensibly better quality. But you guys all think I'm weird. I actually don't like recliners in the theater as much as I like just a wider, nicer seat. But I'm crazy like that because everyone's like, "Oh, it makes you put your feet up, you feel at home." I don't put my feet up at home. Generally speaking, it's not super comfortable. But I'm crazy like that. And there's a guy I follow who does artwork online. He is all for the whole streaming as the new, not replace, but the new, add-on. I mean, how many people would just don't want to leave their home because they don't like people around them? I have a coworker who she's like, I never see a movie in the theater because I don't want people around me. I mean, how many times have I talked about shitty experiences in the theater? At least once a year, I have at least one shitty experience.
Yeah, and see, that's me. If, for example, they would have said, "All right, we're instead of releasing Lord of the Rings in the movie theater back when they did, if they said you can stream it from home, I would have stayed home and watched it because that
I
was
totally
a.
theater.
But I mean, I have a system, a surround sound system that can handle it. That would give me the experience I'm looking for, and
Well,
the TV to
absolutely,
do.
but
But
I
not
feel there
everybody
are certain
does.
tentpole movies that you would need to still see in the theater.
And see, I would have rather said, okay, I could watch Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring on my own TV in my own room and not have to deal with people. I'd do it. because
To be fair,
there's been too many times I've gone to a movie that I was really, really interested in, that I was super, super stoked to see, and wanted to enjoy it, and it. I wouldn't say it's ruined, but it's been annoyed by the people around me.
yeah.
The little
Well,
kid that wants to pull out his Switch and play a Switch game while people are watching movies.
on my watch.
Or people bring out phones, or people talking, that type of thing, and that would bug that bugs the shit out of me.
Yeah, but that's people violating the social contract of going to a theater. And I mean, I generally don't get the manager. I tell them to shut the fuck up or turn off their phone myself, because if I have to get up, they're giving me a refund. It's that simple. And I have the problem, but there's still movies that I would see in the theater because the overall enjoyment. You do not get the energy of Avengers Endgame at home. You don't get it.
And see, that
You
was
get it in the theater with everyone.
that would be because I thought about that, because there was something about watching it in the theater with other people that were there to watch it and enjoy it in the theater, and where there's a difference. We've always said there's a difference between people that go, oh wow, that's fucking cool, to, hey, Betty June wanted to come over and watch TV with me, and blah blah. I'm like, bitch, shut up. I don't have a problem with a kid or an adult, saying something interesting or wow or excited about the movie. Don't talk about your life while you're watching the movie. Take that shit someplace else.
Yeah, well, I think it's well. That's, I mean, aren't we just talking about now what's wrong with the world? Selfishness.
Yeah.
It's not. People don't want to be racist for the most part. They're just fucking shellfish. I don't want to have to stay home because you said COVID's bad for me. I want to go out and do my thing. I'm an adult. I can make my own choices. They're thinking of themselves. They're like, I'm prepared to get to the disease to do what I want. They're not thinking that they might give it to someone else.
But
When they post these stupid comments on these videos, oh, you should have stayed inside. Police asked you to. They're thinking selfishly. I would have. They were like, I would have done that. Like, no, you fucking wouldn't have. You already can't stay home because it's threatening people's lives. How are you gonna stay? You're gonna stay home because the fucking police tell you to? You're not fucking gonna do that. You're gonna bitch just like everyone else. But they're not thinking of that. They're thinking of themselves only. They're like, they're just not capable, and it's not malicious. In most cases, it's not malicious. It's just selfish. Human beings are selfish. We look after ourselves first. In most cases. That's why the truly selfless people are so goddamn amazing. Because they don't look for themselves first. They look for other people first, themselves second or later. And it's amazing, and it's why some people look at them in shock and awe because they can't fathom it. But, I mean, it's be interesting to see how this stuff all changes. I mean, there's going to be a lot of changes in the world. The world is a crazy place, and we were hit with a couple things in a row that are all...
I know that I did see something and it made me laugh. As somebody had a bingo card of things happening, and you could mark off the bingo or whatever. And like one of them things was Cthulhu comes back, and you can so on and so forth. But there was one on there that just made me crack up because it immediately thought of you, John. Was that they finally released the butthole version of Cats, and I was like, oh my god.
Why do you think of me? I'm not going to watch it.
No, but we talked about it. I was like, that just kind of cracked me up. And I was like, holy shit.
I mean, I'll watch the Snyder cut of Justice League.
Yeah, when is that supposed to come out?
Next year.
Next year?
Yes.
Next year on HBO Max.
HBO Max.
Okay.
I'm going to watch it. I don't...
Oh, I'm going to watch it too.
I will have access to HBO Max at that point.
I have access to HBO Max, and I was like, oh, when is that coming out so I can
I'll have
watch
some
it?
HBO Max. I'll be able to watch it then. So I'm going to watch it. So I'm interested to see it because, like someone said, like it's not like it's a director's cut of a movie. It's literally a movie where the director had a tragedy and had to leave to take care of said tragedy, and another director had to come in and take over. And while I like the director who came in and took over generally speaking, more than the original director, I still would like to see his original vision for it. And I actually like Justice League. It was a perfectly acceptable movie. If it came out in the 90s, we would have called that thing the fucking best superhero movie ever. But it didn't. It came out after a lot of movies that were a lot better than it.
Yeah. Well, I was watching, or I saw a video on something, and it said that if that the Lord of the Rings is a movie that came out that hit the perfect note at the right time, and it's going to be hard to reach that pinnacle of any other franchise. And I was like, I can see where they're coming from, because that was that
I don't know. I
movie,
feel like Avengers Endgame like hit as much or more than the end of Lord of the Rings.
yeah, but they're talking about as an overall trilogy type thing.
I mean, yeah, it's always going to be hard, but I mean, people say it all the time. You know, people are like, oh, no one's going to beat the trilogy of Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, so it's only unable to be hit until someone hits it. Someone has the right, makes the right movies for that. It'll happen eventually.
Eventually, somebody's going to
Maybe
make
not in the
something.
fantasy genre. I think in the fantasy genre, your ass like. I think the reason we're not seeing it in many fantasy movies right now is because they're like, well, we can't do Lord of the Rings, so what the fuck are we doing? Because
We
all
do have a
the
TV show coming up.
yeah, but like all the fantasy movies that came out after Lord of the Rings were just not good enough.
No.
We're like, oh, fine, but you're not Lord of the Rings. Like fucking what, Aragon, which is not a great movie, but if that had come out prior to Lord of the Rings, that would have been looked upon much better. They'd be like, that was enjoyable and kind of fun. And now you're like, wow, you ain't that good, dog. I mean, or something like Beastmaster.
I was waiting for it.
I mean,
I was
you
just
see that after
waiting.
Lord of the Rings, you're like, this isn't really epic. This is kind of lame, actually.
I was
The
waiting
only
for the
thing you have
beast.
Up.
with Lord of the Rings is
I
you've got
like the Beastmaster. Moondoggy, hey.
I was waiting for Lord of the Rings or the Beastmaster comment to come through.
look. I mean, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with the release schedule either. It's
Yeah.
weird. I was thinking about that because I was watching some backlog of videos I have on YouTube.
Legionnaires backs me up. Thank you, Legionnaires.
It's fun if you like it.
Yep, and it's
It's
on.
not- But yeah, so it's interesting to see what they're going to do with the backlog of movies. I was watching something on my backlog of YouTube videos, and after the deep dive into Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice, which was interesting to hear them talk about it. They were much more favorable than I was, but they also had to come in with the point of don't come in with the expectations of this being a Superman and Batman you know. But the parts that are terrible really even stick out, even when you're trying to be nice. They talked about Marvel Phase 4, which is the current phase we're going through, and what they're doing. And I'm like, I don't even know when they're going to start it. It starts technically with Black Widow, but
Yeah.
I've seen Barbarian
Pause.
Brothers. I don't want to see Barbarian Brothers again. It is not good. It's worse than Beastmaster by a good stretch. Doesn't even have Kodo and Podo in it. I mean, that's already taking it down a notch.
We kind of went off a little sidetrack on that.
I mean, yeah.
It's all good.
Typical us.
I don't mean to go off on a rant, but
That's typical us, though.
yeah, I mean, is what it is. I mean, it's sort of standard for COVID time. There's only so much topics to go on. There's so much out there to. It's so much we can talk about. We're all so scattered because there's not really any focus to anything right now. If there's a focus, the focus is like staying safe, which should be everyone's focus.
I am definitely looking forward to getting some games in, though. I do have a friend of mine that is buying, of course, all the Space Marines that's coming out in the new box, and he was like, "I think I want to get rid of the Necrons." I'm like, "I'll buy them."
Did you
Because,
talk to Banion yet?
hey, Banion, I'm talking to you.
Rumor has it he owns Necrons. It's not really a rumor, it's true.
Oh, okay. Shoo. No, I was looking into because he was going to buy like 3 boxes, and I'm like, I'll split those boxes with you. Because I'm kind of looking forward. I like some of the new Necron stuff. They look really cool. I don't care what the rules are. Just the models look really freaking neat.
I mean, space skeletons that are robots.
I would totally paint those.
I will send them right your way, Kathy.
Ha ha ha. I think we had this discussion.
Yep, once.
We did. It ended with her not painting them and sending them back.
And with me laughing.
Which, by the way, Kathy, I should be getting my Adepticon swag. And supposedly there is a Hulk in it. Would you like to do a tartan Hulk?
Yes.
Well, let me know if you do that. I can take something off my list. I've been looking for a cheap one on Amazon and eBay. Could have talked about that last week.
Yeah, supposedly there's a Hulk in the. What's really dark? In the
VIG?
Adepticon. Yeah, not the VIG, just the normal.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
I got a Hulk.
I got a Hulk. We got a Hulk.
He's actually just about done. I mentioned that earlier.
I saw, yeah.
I am pleased. I'm pleased.
I'm glad those are going well for you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad I got them mostly done before summer fully hit, because summer always makes it difficult to paint. Because it gets hot.
It gets real hot. It got to 94 here just not too long ago. I was like, oh.
Our first hot day, which was, I want to say, Wednesday this week, or someday last week, it went from zero. It basically went from, maybe tickling the 80s to 97.
Yeah, that's kind of what it did here. It was like, oh, it's nice and.
Like, the fuck are you doing?
Same thing it does every year here.
And I was fine.
From it's nice to, oh my god, am I in hell?
Yeah.
I was fine until after I stopped at the grocery store. It was Wednesday then, yeah. Because I'm pretty good. I get in the car. I'm like, it's warm. I'll turn on windows. Traffic's still pretty good, luckily. Knock on wood type object. And then get to the grocery store, go in, the AC on, and come out, and I'm like, oh god, it's fucking hot.
Yeah, I stepped out because I was like, oh, I'm going to take my puppy for a walk and let him get some exercise. I'm like, oh, hell no. Came right back inside. I was like, oh, crap, where'd that come from? Because the day before it was, nice. Outside.
John, so you know what I'm looking forward to?
Chinese chicken?
I mean, maybe. Are you sending me some?
Banana split?
That also. They are open, actually. Banion, Daily Scoop is open. They may not be open right now because it's Sunday, but they are open in general, so. I got wings yesterday. So, no, the Cowboy Bebop live action that Netflix is doing. They had a tiny little tease for it that one of my buddies shared, and I was like, oh, so looking forward to it because the Ein is so cute.
I have not seen that tease, and you better, link it to me.
I mean, it's just a tease.
I don't care. Cowboy Bebop is my favorite anime of all time, and I am so looking forward and scared for the live action because what?
It looks good. I mean, the actors all look like they're pretty good representation. We'll see how it ends up. I know they're running a little behind because I think John Cho hurt himself a little bit because he's doing his own stunts.
Ooh.
Which I respect that because that's a good show of professionalism. We talk about stuff like that. We talk about Tom Cruise, maybe absolutely nuts, but man, is he a hell of a professional.
Well, I know that
So-
I'm really looking forward to that on when it comes out because I'm a huge Cowboy Bebop fan, and also the live action Airbender Avatar.
I mean, didn't they try that once? Heard it didn't go well.
Correct, but this is going to be a Netflix series, and made by the original crew, and they specifically said that they are bringing actors that are appropriate to the actual characters. And I'm like, and it's going to be a TV series, which is going to be interesting because that means it's either A, going to be covering news stories, what's the timeline going to be type thing. But I'm looking forward to it at least. Hopefully it's going to be good. Fingers crossed.
Okay.
Which kind of brings me into a segue for the media section.
Yep.
Because it is that time. Kathy, you can continue painting?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we'll just leave it up there then. I don't care. They don't need to. They can look at your beautiful paint jobs instead of looking at my ugly face. The one thing that came up recently, and this is one of my things in my media section that I wanted to bring up. I'm going to take this off, are doing a live action version of The Black Cauldron. And, of course, Disney's turning everything into a live action. But I'm kind of curious about this one because The Black Cauldron is not your typical, Disney film, if you know what I'm saying.
That's putting it very lightly.
Yeah. It was
Like,
not your typical
fuck?
Disney movie.
It's so not typical Disney. They never played on the Disney Channel, so I've never seen it. I've only read the novel adaptation of it.
Now it does have some Disney, s stuff to it because I never read the novel because when it came out, I was a teenager and it was like, oh crap, this movie looks really freaking cool, blah blah blah, and it's a Disney movie. It looks pretty dark for a Disney movie, and I saw it and I thought it was really cool and it was really neat and watched a lot of behind the scenes stuff and I rewatched it not too long ago because it's on Disney Plus. But I'm got a color in the wrong spot. But I was like, why are they doing besides a money grab of
No. Stop. Remaking the Black Cauldron live action is not a money grab.
You don't think so?
No one fucking cares about the Black Cauldron. It is the definition of a fucking just cult classic, maybe to some people. I mean, remaking Aladdin, remaking The Lion King. Well, yeah, those are money grabs. Those are the big names. Remaking The Little Mermaid, money grab. Those are the big names. Remaking The Black Cauldron's like, the fuck?
That's the reason I thought it was kind of weird because not many people know about it. Not many people,
They're gonna remake the
watched
Black
it.
Hole next, but make it animated?
Do what?
They're gonna remake the Black Hole next, just make it animated?
You know you would go see it.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm in. I'm totally in. But I know that the Black Hole is a cult film that only a handful of people really truly love.
Yeah.
I'm two of them. But yeah, I mean, it's weird that it's weird. It's really weird they're doing it, but it's definitely not a cash grab.
Well, because if you think about it, The Black Cauldron is definitely a weird Disney movie. It is not your typical, doesn't have the songs and the dance and, blah, blah, blah.
It's a little dark.
It is. It is really dark. I never read the book. I probably need to read the book.
It's like Secret of Nim dark.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Secret of Nim.
Secret
Not
of Nim's
quite
amazing.
Watership
Or
Down.
the original Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim.
Yeah.
Fair.
I read the original. I read the book quite a while back to my 4th and 5th graders because, of course, we didn't have enough copies for everybody. So I read it, and then we did our schoolwork on it. And the kids were like, "This is trippy. This is like weird," and I'm like, "Yeah, it is. This is not your, because we did a compare and contrast with the movie and the book." and people were like, the movie is kiddified, is the best way to put it.
And it's not very kiddie itself.
No.
It's a little dark for kids. Yeah. I'll be honest. You don't want anyone under, say, middle school age watching that shit.
Yeah. Because, I mean, the movie was a Don Bluth film, which is still an amazing... I still love that movie anyway. It was good. It was really, really good. And then you got the... oh, thanks, Danny M, for hosting us. We appreciate it. But the one thing that... The book, it's kind of like The Watership Down. It doesn't pull a punch. Type thing. So I'm kind of interested to see how they take this movie that is not your standard typical Disney movie with songs and all that and make it live action. Are they actually going to, make it dark, or are they just going to let it go? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or are they going to Disney-fy it, the best way to put it, and make it with song and dance and stuff?
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. Worth keeping an eye out for, but it's an odd play by Disney.
Yeah.
But then again, with the relative dearth of fantasy out there, it's not unwelcome. Disney's going to do good quality. They always do good quality. So we'll see how it goes.
I'm interested at least because it's one of my favorite Disney movies. That kind of is a hidden gem, and so I'm interested to see what they do with it. Whether it goes good or not, no fucking clue. I'm hoping it goes good.
Give me a second.
What are you looking at?
I'm going to see if it's on Disney, if the original's on Disney Plus.
It is. It is. I watched it recently.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, the original's on Disney.
Next to my favorite movie, The Black Hole.
Yeah, there's a ton of good stuff there.
Well, it would be, wouldn't it?
I mean, yeah. I mean, you type The Black, and you've only got two choices.
Stallion and Hole?
No, Cauldron and Hole.
And Stallion. Is Stallion on there?
Well, it is, but, no, only the young Black Stallion, and that's after Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. I think their search engine needs a little bit of help.
Yeah. So, Kathy, what did you watch this week?
So, I watched 2 movies yesterday. Much like much like Gonzo, I wanted nostalgia. And so I saw Lady Hawk.
Oh.
And Buckaroo Banzai.
Even funner.
And which, I mean, I've seen both of these a few times. But it had been a long time since I had seen Lady Hawk. Not quite as long since I'd seen Buckaroo Banzai, but oh my god, I love that movie. And oh my god, I love Lady
Buckaroo
Hawk.
Banzai sometimes. I mean, Buckaroo Banzai, I love that movie. That's one of my favorites.
That's one of those nostalgic classics.
And the definition of a cult classic, it is.
Yeah.
You could put that on the cover, like cult classic, Buckaroo Banzai. Yep,
Yeah,
that's
pretty
it.
much. And always at the end when it says, look for the next adventure, I'm like,
Yeah.
I know, I made the same face, John, that you just made.
And I love the whole ending with the music playing and them just walking. It's a fun way to end the movie. It's that is totally. I mean, that's an underrated movie by a long stretch. I just think it's too weird and quirky for the average person.
So cool. All the things about it. I mean,
Yeah.
Buckaroo, the genius, inventor, scientist, neurosurgeon, musician.
Race car driver.
Yeah, stuntman, race car driver. Yeah.
Yeah, it's. From what I understand, it's actually based off sort of the idea of Doc Savage from back in the day.
I can see that.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see Doc Savage get a good modern rework. That'd be good. But I I just like that kind. It's generally fun, never too heavy. You know, we got some moments that are a little heavier, but I just I got a cast that all sort of know the movie they're in and just roll with it.
They know they're not supposed to be taking this seriously.
But they're not making fun of it
No,
either.
no.
That's the thing about so many movies. They know they're not supposed to take it serious, but they make fun of it. And that's the difference. If you take it seriously, but take it full camp or full, you take it to 11. You know, you get like I always like to say Orlando Bloom in that One Three Musketeers movie where he's playing the English Duke, and he's just fucking full on campy villain mode. You're like, he knows what movie
I
he's
saw
in.
that one. That's the one with the airship cannon thing.
Yeah, I enjoy that movie. Is it great? Probably not.
No.
I enjoy the hell out of it.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
I own it on DVD. It was worth the money. Buckaroo Banzai. Buckaroo Banzai is great. I love it. I own it on Steelbook Blu-ray because I love Buckaroo Banzai that much.
It's a good one. Does it hold
That's-
up?
I mean,
I mean, is it dated? Well, of course, it's a very 1980s movie. But that just adds to it's almost like it's a period piece.
yeah, it's funny. Everything. The only thing that sort of maybe dates it is using a payphone and shit like that. It doesn't really look out. It doesn't feel dated when you're watching it so much. It feels like a period piece more than anything.
Yeah.
It's not like it's set to be in any sort of time, and then the cars and everything going on doesn't match, and your mind's like, "What's going on?" I think it holds up fairly well. I've seen it relatively recently because I own it on Blu-ray.
I totally agree.
But Lady Hawk, I have not seen in a while.
Oh
yeah,
man,
I hadn't seen that in quite some time, and you know, when we were talking about fantasy movies and Lord of the Rings and stuff, and I'm like, I love Rutger Hauer.
oh, and that movie
Yeah.
is amazing.
I love Rutger Hauer and Michelle Pfeiffer and Matthew Broderick, and but they could remake that. It's not like Princess Bride. They could. I
Yeah.
like this movie. I really like this movie. But if it was remade and they did it right, it could be even better.
You'd have to really get the cast spot on.
Yeah,
But yeah, I could see them remaking it. I mean, they don't need to because it's a fancy period piece, but I feel like everything they've improved in filmmaking in the 30 30 plus years since it's come out, Jesus, would go a long way to making it just better.
Yeah, because unlike Buckaroo Banzai, this movie, it is dated.
Yeah, it's a
It
little.
has some of the crazy cheesiest. Now, Banyan says you're gonna watch it. The two of you are gonna watch it, and
Guess we're gonna watch it then.
you'll notice the music. I noticed it.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like,
The music.
oh my god.
There's an article I read, and Lady Hawk was on it, and they mentioned the music in it because it's very off-putting.
yeah, it's different.
It's jarring. It's jarring.
It's not, in my opinion, it's not as bad as A Knight's Tale, which I cannot watch through because the music immediately, completely disconnects me from it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
But it is definitely. Was it Alan Parsons' project on this?
no clue. But that something
No.
that definitely about it is the music was definitely
It's definitely like kind of that weird prog rockish.
yeah.
Oh, not even. I mean, it's just straight up 80s, cheesy 80s music.
It's a synth, yeah.
Like, yeah. I mean, it was like any 80s action TV show, like A-Team, you know, whatever, just pick. And there'd be like a chase scene or something. Anytime the horses were galloping across an open plain, they'd play this. They would play this music.
Yep.
Oh shit, that's a Richard Donner film.
And I was laughing. Also, some of the costumes, I mean, I couldn't help but make comparisons, you know. Some of it was really cool, and some of it was just
I bet
Like,
his better is.
nuts.
those are some good classics though. I mean, Lady Hawk, I haven't seen that in forever, and that one's a good fun movie.
I'm curious what you rate them both. I mean, obviously, I know what you should rate Buckaroo Banzai, but
I
I'm
mean,
not.
yeah, right. Zero space herpes. I mean, that's like just one step below Casablanca on that scale.
I'm not going to argue with you. The
Lady
film score
Hawk.
was produced by Alan Parsons.
Yeah.
Yeah, for Lady Hawk. I thought so.
Oh. Huh.
Boom, memory. It's not as bad as I thought. Lady Hawk rating. Sorry.
But yeah, I give it 1. I might give it 2, but I give it 1 because the music is kind of jarring and some of the costumes are a little but I can't help. I mean, the cast makes up for it.
Oh yeah, Rutger Hauer is at his. I don't know if it's his best, but it's close to his best. I mean, between this and Blade Runner, you put those both up as his best, and then you go from there.
What was that one movie? Oh, no, you guys talk. I'm gonna try and find this movie.
I mean,
I can go with my nostalgia movie since we're running down that track right now.
sure.
I was flipping through Netflix and I was at my house and I was like, oh, I haven't seen this in a while. So I started watching it. I was like, oh crap, I have to go visit some friends. So I went and visited friends. I'm like, hey, we're watching this movie and we're starting it over because I was about 45 minutes in. And it's one of my guilty pleasures because it's so stupid and so funny and just idiotic. And that's Clueless. If anybody knows, it's about a movie about high school kids, and it came up with some of the best stupid lines of any Valley Girl type movie ever. Has Alicia Silverstone and Brittany Murphy and a few others. Oh, is it Paul Rudd, isn't it? I can't remember. I'm looking it up too.
Don't ask me. I've never seen this movie.
Oh, okay. So this movie is.
I mean, do you know why I haven't seen this movie?
Because it's a high school movie.
Standards.
Because it's a high school movie.
Yeah, I don't pine for high school. I don't find those kind of movies enjoyable. Like, the closest to a high school movie I get is Breakfast Club because I feel like that speaks to me more than most of them.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, Breakfast Club that's just amazing zero space herpes type movie. But it was a good turn my brain off, laugh at stupid shit. And laugh at stupid lines because there's some good classic lines like, whatever and all this other stuff that's in there. But I realized that Alicia Silverstone has not aged one fucking bit.
Oh, she has.
From recently, she doesn't look like she's aged very much. She's kind of like a Cyndi Lauper. But I mean, I watched it and I still enjoyed every minute of it. It was still funny. It was still great because I was quoting lines and, excuse me as I burp, just having a good time with the movie. And to me, it was just good, stupid fun. But there's plenty about this movie that is, I'm watching it and I'm like, the cell phones. They've got the cell phones where you pull the antenna up and it's like the Motorola, you could beat someone with it. And like the TVs and, the technology. And you were like, I remember when that was the shit. And the clothes and everything. And I remember when people tried to dress like that, like the movie and everything. And I just enjoy the hell out of the movie. It's on Netflix right now. It's a classic, movie on so many different things, especially one-liners and different lines about different things. I really enjoy the hell of it. It's like I said, it's one of my guilty pleasures because it's so stupid. So I give it 0 space herpes because it's funny. But I know some people, will tank it. But I mean, like I said, it's one of those movies and you can't help it when it's a guilty pleasure. It just makes you feel good to watch it and just turn your brain off. Type thing. So that was my trip down memory lane.
Well, my only movie was on a trip down memory lane. It was actually a recent one that I just poking through. I saw it was on Amazon Prime for free, and that is Hotel Artemis.
Yep.
which I remember hearing some things about, but not much, and I enjoyed the crap out of it. I actually feel like it might not be the best watch currently because it is set in a slightly future LA where they've privatized everything, and a company shut off the free water, and people are rioting, and the police force is privatized, and they have permission to shoot people if they're out after curfew. So that's a little
Too
hitting
close
close
to
to
home
home.
these days. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not a big enough part of the movie, and it is still nominally in the future that it didn't really hit me too hard. But it's basically just the idea of it's a hotel safe house for criminals. You keep your membership. When something goes bad, you go there, you get a suite, they take care of you, and then you get to go on after you're taken care of. Jodie Foster plays the nurse who's in charge. It has Dave Bautista as the orderly, Everest, and he's kind of amusing. He's not doing a lot in it, but he does the right amount with what he's given. Charlie Day is one of the guests. Let's see. I don't know the black actor in it, unfortunately, because I haven't seen him in anything before this. And then Jeff Goldblum's in it later, and so is Zachary Quinto as Jeff Goldblum's son. Jeff Goldblum's like he's called the Wolf King of LA. He's like the head of all the crime stuff in LA. And it's one of those standard movies where you got a bunch of different people and they're all sort of everything's coming together. What is her name? Sophie Boutella is in it. And then Sterling Brown is the one black actor in it. He does a great job. I actually really enjoyed what he did in it, honestly. He's sort of the main protagonist, and he's just likable enough for a criminal that you enjoy what he's doing. It's a very short, very small cast. Takes place mostly inside that hotel. It's very enjoyable. It's only about an hour and a half long. I would suggest watching. I don't really want to spoil anything in it. I mean, Jeff Goldblum is kind of a spoiler, but you'd know that if you watch any of the things for it. He shows up in it, and Jeff Goldblum is always fun to watch in movies.
Uh-huh.
And Jodie Foster, I mean, she doesn't usually do a movie like this, so it's a little weird, but it's a good, feels like a sort of, solidly supported independent movie, and I enjoyed the crap out of it. I am going to give it about one Space Herpy. I would suggest you check it out. It is on Amazon Prime for free.
Yep.
It is sort of that sort of crime, everything, all these independent people come together, and the stuff sort of comes to a head, of course, as it always does, and then crazy stuff starts to happen. But yeah, definitely give it a shot.
My last one that I have, because we don't have a lot of time left, is I watched, turned on Netflix and I was like, ooh, I remember when this was on another channel and I wanted to watch it. And I totally blanked on what season and all this other stuff, thinking it was like Amazon original or Netflix original, and I was like, no, it's not. This is from like the History Channel. And it's a series called Alone. Alone is a competition where people are dropped off in the Arctic and have to survive. They're allowed to bring like 10 items. So they're not allowed to bring certain items and so on and so forth. And they're dropped off by the production company and said, survive. Then the last one standing wins $500,000. And I was like, ooh, this is going to be rough. And of course you have your cast of 10 people that are, you've got your range from, and I'm putting quotes around this because that's how they were, the hippie to the survival guy and all this other thing. And this big old gruff, grizzly bear of a man was like, I can do this. I can do this for, a year straight and stuff. And in 3 days he was gone because he ate something he wasn't supposed to and got food poisoning and had to be pulled out because he just couldn't take it. And then there was a guy that actually was like in the military, and this is what he does as his job. and had to be pulled out because he was like, I do this as a job, but I know I'm going home, or I know that, I'll go home in a certain amount of periods. I'm not staying out here for, because the contestants are actually told that this may last a whole year. It's whoever can stay out the longest, type thing is what they're told.
He basically like, I do this for a living. Fuck it, I'm not gonna do it for this anymore. I'm out.
Correct, pretty much. He was like, yeah, I've done it. I've proved to myself. One person was carrying an arrow, and it went through the back of her leg. One person.
How do you do that?
I don't even know, because they have to film themselves. Nobody's filming them. They have to do it like the old Les Strauss Survivor Man. So they have to document and, so on and so forth, all on their own. One of the thing is the production company goes out and checks on them. They have a doctor check on them, make sure that they're okay every so often, check their BMI levels, heart rate, all that stuff to make sure that, they're not getting in that, really bad area. There was one lady, she actually kind of, mental fatigue, she might have had some things going on, and they pulled her because her BMI was way too low. But like, she took a rabbit, and of course she skinned it and ate it, but then she made her own little teddy bear out of it. And the way she was acting about it, I was like, she may be losing it a little bit, because they came out to check on her during on Halloween, and she had a skinned rabbit face, using it as a mask, in front of her face, going "Happy Halloween," and I was like, "Whew."
So assuming it's not scripted, and it's probably scripted,
this one
you're still talking about people who are willing to go out in the wilderness for up to potentially a year.
Correct.
They're all probably not right in the head, and it is probably scripted. Most reality TV is scripted.
Well, this one, when you watched her, you can tell that she just wasn't all. She acted like she wasn't all there. Whether she was or not, I don't know. But definitely, she was a little on the loose end. There was one guy, this guy that was on there, I think his name's Jordan, if I remember correctly. He cracked me the fuck up. He was a guy that just was living his best life out there. He had killed 10 rabbits and stuff, and, had eaten them and taken their skin, and he'd made actually a rabbit vest. And he was like, and now for the Arctic 2019 season. And he's doing the little catwalk down to his camera and doing the music with it and dancing with it. And I'm like, holy fuck.
What is it called again?
It's called Alone. It's originally on the History Channel, I believe. And the one they show on Amazon is actually season 6, not season 1. And the guy the guy Jordan, he actually killed a moose and killed a badger. It was really neat to see how these people were surviving as they were making things and doing things and, building nets and traps, and because they were not allowed to kill foxes, because I guess it's protected because it's a fur-bearing mammal up there. So that was one thing that they couldn't kill, but almost everything was fair game. They were all spaced out far enough that they couldn't interact with each other. But that's what I was telling you when you messaged me about playing. I was watching that, and I was enthralled by it. I was really, really liking the show. There was one guy, one of the guys that was like the macho man. He was like, yeah, we have a bunch of hippies out here, and I'm going to respect their wishes, and I'm going to ask the tree if I can cut it down. And he gets like really close to the tree and goes, I'm going to have to cut you down. Thank you for, and he was just like going off and he was like, doesn't that sound stupid? And then he got taken out in like 3 days into the competition. But it was interesting to watch. I really enjoyed it. I think it was really cool. It was fucking cold there because it got down, I think, at one point to -6, not counting wind chill. One guy, he had to tap out because his log cabin he built or whatever caught fire in the middle of the night, and he had to wait like 6 hours before the film crew could come and get him.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, because he was like, I have to tap out. There's nothing I can do. Because they all are given a sat phone, and they can
So
tap out anytime they want.
did you have to build your structure
Oh, yeah.
yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
They're just given like this big plastic case with all their stuff in it, and like backpack and clothes and all this, and dropped off and said, live. If you can't make it, here's your sat phone. Call us. I think they can't. I don't know how often they went out and checked on them and checked their BMI and stuff. But the second to last person tapped out on day 73, and she was like, I have to tap out. My body function. She hadn't pooped in 2 weeks or whatever. And, you know, she was just worried about her health, and she's like, I just have to. The money's not that important than my life. So she tapped out on day 73, and they let the other guy stayed out there till day 77, and they finally came out and got him. I don't know why they came out and got him. If it was like, okay, he's been out there long enough, let's go and end it type thing. But I did read some up on stuff because he, like I said, he had killed a moose and had a bunch of food and such. And so he actually got to, you know, him and the crew actually ate the meat that he had, you know, saved up and got himself going through the winter there. He was happy because he got to leave before Christmas. But I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I really miss like Survivor Man. I thought Les Strauss was a really great survivalist thing. It was really entertaining, and this one was more entertaining than anything else. I wish I actually set it up because they have a new season coming up pretty soon, and they're doing like $1 million prize, and they're going to show that when it's been filmed. I have no clue, but
I mean, socially distancing, that's social distance.
I really, really enjoyed it. I was enthralled. I liked the people, because I bet on 2 people, and it was the last 2 people that were there. I was like, this person is probably the one that's going to make it, because this person's not stupid, and this person knows what they're doing. But I set it up to watch the new season, and I can't wait to see it again.
Oh.
So, guys, actually, I probably went over, didn't I? Yeah, a little bit. Not bad.
Yeah, you were rambling. That's okay.
That's okay. I was, because I thoroughly enjoyed it.
That's good.
So, guys, we want y'all to be safe out there. Look after each other. If you have your social distancing you still got to do, which everybody should be doing a decent amount, just be safe. Look after each other. Help each other out. If you need anything, want anything, all of us are here to help you out. Don't forget, Kathy streams Tuesday through Friday from 3 to 5. Also, I will be streaming on Friday. If you follow the Warfare Weekends page, there is going to be a War Machine and Hordes battle on War Table between Travis Marg and Zeke from the Minority Report. Their lists are posted, so it'll be kind of something y'all can see and do whatever. A lot of people had a lot of fun with it last time. So go and check that out. Other than that, for More Than Dice, I'm Gonzo.
I'm Shirley.
I'm John.
Good night. Hey, here's the music. If you're not dancing, I'm sorry.
Happy I kept that running joke going for 4 minutes.
Thank you, Shirley.